My girlfriend called me insecure and controlling when I found intimate texts between her and her coworker saying things like "I miss your touch" and "When can we be alone again?" She deleted everything and claimed I imagined the whole thing and needed therapy. I secretly recovered all the deleted messages and played them at our housewarming party through the speakers while she gave a toast about trust and loyalty. I'm Trevor, 29, and I work as a physical therapist at a sports medicine clinic in Denver. What started as gut feelings about my girlfriend's suspicious behavior turned into the most elaborate gaslighting campaign I've ever experienced, followed by the most satisfying public exposure that went viral and destroyed her reputation while validating my sanity. I met Jade 18 months ago at a friend's barbecue where she immediately caught my attention with her infectious laugh and confident personality. She worked as a marketing coordinator for a fitness equipment company and seemed to share my passion for health and wellness. Our relationship moved quickly, and after 8 months, we decided to move in together to a beautiful townhouse that we both loved. Jade was charming, successful, and initially very attentive to our relationship. She would send sweet texts throughout the day, plan romantic surprises, and often talked about our future together. I thought I had found my person, and several friends commented on how happy and compatible we seemed. The first red flag appeared about 6 months into our relationship when Jade started working closely with a new colleague named Blake on a major product launch campaign. She began mentioning Blake frequently, praising his creativity and work ethic. While I appreciated that she was excited about her job, the frequency of Blake references started to feel excessive. Jade would come home from work with stories about Blake's brilliant marketing ideas, his funny jokes during meetings, and his impressive background in the industry. She started staying late at the office more often, claiming that she and Blake were working on time-sensitive projects that required extended hours. When I suggested meeting Blake at a company happy hour, Jade quickly dismissed the idea, saying that she preferred to keep her work and personal life separate. She claimed that bringing a boyfriend to work events would make her seem unprofessional and that she wanted to establish herself in the company before introducing personal relationships. About 3 months ago, I noticed that Jade had become very protective of her phone. She would take it with her to the bathroom, keep it face down during our conversations, and quickly close any apps when I walked into the room. When I asked about her increased phone security, she claimed that her company had implemented new privacy policies for client information. The behavior escalated when Jade started receiving text messages late at night that would make her smile or even laugh quietly. When I asked who was texting her so late, she would say it was her sister or a female friend sharing memes or funny videos. One evening while Jade was in the shower, her phone buzzed with a text notification on the nightstand. I glanced over and saw a preview message from Blake W. that read "Can't stop thinking about earlier. When can we?" The message was cut off, but what I could see made my stomach drop. When Jade came out of the bathroom, I asked her about the message from Blake. She immediately became defensive and angry. "Are you seriously reading my text messages now?" she snapped. "That's a complete invasion of privacy, Trevor. Blake was probably just asking about our project timeline." I explained that I hadn't intentionally read her message, but that the preview had appeared on her lock screen. I asked if she could show me the full message to ease my concerns. "Absolutely not," she said. "I'm not going to let your insecurity and jealousy turn me into someone who has to prove my innocence. Blake is my coworker, and if you can't trust me to have professional relationships, then you have serious issues." She turned the conversation into an attack on my character, claiming that I was being controlling and possessive and that my trust issues were damaging our relationship. She made me feel like questioning her was somehow a character flaw on my part. But the incident made me more alert to potential red flags. Over the next few weeks, I noticed that Jade would delete her text conversations frequently, claiming that she liked to keep her phone organized and didn't like having old messages cluttering her inbox. The turning point came 2 weeks ago when Jade forgot to take her phone with her to the gym. She had left it charging on the kitchen counter while she went for what she said would be a quick workout. About 30 minutes after she left, her phone started buzzing repeatedly with text messages. I debated whether to look, but the frequency of the messages seemed urgent, and I was worried that there might be a family emergency. When I picked up her phone, I saw multiple notifications from Blake, and the preview text made my blood run cold. "I miss your touch so much. Last night was incredible. When can we be alone again? This sneaking around is driving me crazy. I can't focus on anything except how amazing you felt." My hands were shaking as I realized that Jade had been having an affair with Blake. The messages were explicitly romantic and sexual, referencing recent physical encounters and planning future meetings. I quickly took screenshots of the message previews with my own phone, then put Jade's phone back where I found it. When she returned from the gym, I decided to confront her directly about what I had seen. "Jade, we need to talk," I said. "I saw some concerning messages from Blake on your phone while you were at the gym." Her reaction was immediate and explosive. "You went through my phone while I was gone? That's a complete violation of trust, Trevor. You're acting like a crazy, controlling boyfriend. I explained that I had only looked because I was worried about the frequency of messages, and I described what I had seen in the previews. You're imagining things, she said firmly. Blake and I are working on a project, and you're taking professional communications completely out of context because you're paranoid and insecure. I asked her to show me the messages so we could clear up the misunderstanding, but she refused. I'm not going to enable your toxic behavior by letting you police my conversations, she said. If you can't trust me, then maybe we shouldn't be together. Over the next hour, Jade systematically deleted all of her text conversations and claimed that she had done it to protect her privacy from my invasive behavior. She insisted that I had misread or misunderstood the messages, and that my accusations were completely unfounded. She spent the rest of the evening gaslighting me, suggesting that I might need therapy for my trust issues and paranoid thoughts. She claimed that I was imagining things and that my behavior was becoming concerning and unhealthy. For the next week, Jade continued the gaslighting campaign. She would make comments about my mental state and suggest that I was seeing things that weren't there. She even recommended that I speak to a therapist about my insecurity problems and delusional thinking. The gaslighting was so intense and consistent that I began to doubt my own memory and perception. Had I really seen those messages? Was I becoming paranoid and controlling? Jade seemed so confident in her denials that I started to wonder if I was losing my mind. But I had taken screenshots, and I knew what I had seen. I decided to recover the deleted messages using data recovery software that I had used in the past to help friends retrieve lost files. I waited until Jade was at work, then used my laptop to access her phone's backup data through our shared cloud account. The recovery software was able to retrieve thousands of deleted text messages between Jade and Blake dating back 4 months. What I found was worse than I had imagined. Jade and Blake had been having a full-blown affair that included regular hookups at hotels, explicit sexual conversations, and detailed planning about how to hide their relationship from me. The messages revealed that they had been intimate on multiple occasions, including times when Jade had told me she was working late or attending work events. They discussed my schedule and planned their meetings around times when I would be at the clinic. Most disturbing were the messages where they made fun of me and my suspicions. Blake had written, "Your boyfriend is getting suspicious. Maybe we should cool it for a while." Jade had responded, "He's so gullible. I just tell him he's being paranoid and he believes it. He actually thinks he might need therapy." They had been laughing about my concerns and congratulating themselves on how easily they could manipulate me into doubting my own perceptions. I spent hours compiling the most damaging messages and organizing them chronologically. I had overwhelming evidence of Jade's affair and her deliberate gaslighting campaign to make me question my sanity. Instead of confronting her immediately, I decided to expose her publicly in a way that would prevent her from denying or minimizing her behavior. Jade and I had been planning a housewarming party for the following weekend to celebrate our new townhouse. We had invited about 40 people, including both of our families, our mutual friends, and several of Jade's coworkers, including Blake. I spent the week preparing my evidence presentation while acting completely normal around Jade. I created an audio compilation of text-to-speech versions of her most damning messages, including the ones where she and Blake mocked my concerns and planned their affairs. On the day of the party, I helped Jade set up decorations and prepare food, all while knowing that I was about to destroy her reputation in front of everyone who mattered to both of us. As guests arrived, I mingled normally and played the role of the happy boyfriend celebrating our new home. Jade was in her element, charming everyone and accepting compliments on our beautiful townhouse. After dinner, Jade stood up to give a toast about our relationship and our new home. She thanked everyone for coming and started talking about the importance of trust, loyalty, and communication in relationships. "Trevor and I have built something beautiful together," she said, raising her glass. "Our relationship is based on honesty and mutual respect." That's when I stood up and walked over to our sound system, which was connected to my phone via Bluetooth. "That's interesting that you mention honesty, Jade," I said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I'd like to share something about honesty and trust with our guests." I pressed play on the audio compilation I had prepared. Jade's own voice, converted from her text messages, filled the room through the speakers. Text from Jade to Blake, sent 3 days ago, the computerized voice announced. "I miss your touch so much. Last night was incredible when Trevor thought I was at my sister's house." The room went completely silent as guests realized what they were hearing. Text from Blake to Jade, "Yesterday morning, when can we be alone again? This sneaking around is driving me crazy, but your boyfriend is so gullible." Jade's face went white as her own words played through the speakers. She tried to rush toward the sound system, but I had moved away from it and continued the presentation. Text from Jade to Blake, "Last week, Trevor is getting suspicious about our late-night meetings. I just tell him he's paranoid and needs therapy. He actually believes he's going crazy." Several guests started murmuring and looking back and forth between Jade and me. Blake, who was standing near the kitchen, Looked like he wanted to disappear. The audio continued with more explicit messages about their affair, their hotel meetings, and their detailed discussions about how to deceive me. Jade's voice describing how gullible and easy to manipulate I was played through the speakers while 40 people listened in shocked silence. Text from Jade to Blake, 2 weeks ago. I love how we can be together, and then I come home and make Trevor feel crazy for suspecting anything. He's so insecure that he believes everything I tell him. Jade finally reached the sound system and tried to turn it off, but I had prepared for this and the audio was playing from multiple connected devices throughout the house. This is insane. She screamed. You're violating my privacy. Those messages are taken out of context. Which part is out of context, Jade? I asked calmly. The part where you've been cheating on me for 4 months, or the part where you've been gaslighting me into thinking I'm mentally unstable? The room erupted in shocked conversations as guests processed what they had heard. Jade's own mother looked horrified and started crying. Blake quietly slipped out the back door without saying goodbye to anyone. Everyone needs to leave, Jade demanded, but most of the guests were too stunned to move. My brother approached me and said, Dude, I'm so sorry. We had no idea she was doing this to you. Jade's best friend Jessica looked disgusted and told Jade, I can't believe you would do this to Trevor and then make him think he was crazy. This is sick. I gathered my belongings and prepared to leave my own housewarming party. Before walking out, I addressed the room one final time. For anyone who's wondering, these messages were all recovered from Jade's deleted conversations. She's been telling me for weeks that I was imagining things and needed therapy for my paranoid delusions. I wanted everyone to hear the truth before she tried to gaslight all of you too. I left the townhouse that night feeling devastated but also incredibly relieved that I finally had validation for what I had experienced. Update 1. The aftermath of the housewarming party exposure exceeded my expectations and turned into a viral sensation that completely destroyed Jade's reputation while providing me with overwhelming support and validation. Several guests had recorded portions of the audio presentation on their phones, and within hours, clips of Jade's voice admitting to her affair and mocking my mental health were circulating on social media. The most viral clip featured Jade's voice saying I love how we can be together and then I come home and make Trevor feel crazy for suspecting anything. He's so insecure that he believes everything I tell him. The audio was shared with captions like this is what gaslighting sounds like and never ignore your instincts about cheating partners. The hashtag gaslighting girlfriends started trending as people shared their own stories about partners who had manipulated them into doubting their own perceptions. My story became a case study in recognizing psychological manipulation and the importance of trusting your instincts. Mental health professionals started sharing the audio clips as examples of emotional abuse and gaslighting tactics. A psychologist with 500K followers posted a TikTok analyzing Jade's language patterns and explaining how gaslighters use specific techniques to make their victims question reality. But the social media attention was just the beginning of Jade's problems. Her employer, the fitness equipment company, was mortified when the viral audio revealed that she had been using company time and resources to conduct an affair with a coworker. Blake was immediately terminated for conduct unbecoming in violation of workplace harassment policies. Jade was placed on administrative leave while the company investigated the extent of their inappropriate workplace relationship. The investigation revealed that Jade and Blake had been using company travel budgets for their affair, claiming business expenses for hotel rooms where they were meeting for personal reasons. They had also been conducting their relationship during work hours, which violated multiple company policies. Jade was ultimately fired for misuse of company resources, false expense reporting, and creating a hostile work environment. Her termination letter, which was leaked by a company insider, specifically mentioned her deceptive behavior and lack of professional integrity. The most satisfying consequence was the reaction from Jade's family and friends. Her own mother called me to apologize for her daughter's behavior and to express her shock at the extent of Jade's manipulation. I raised her to be better than this, her mother said through tears. The way she made you question your own sanity is cruel and unforgivable. I'm so sorry you went through this. Jade's best friend Jessica posted on social media defending my decision to expose her publicly. Sometimes people need to face consequences for their actions, she wrote. What Jade did to Trevor was psychological abuse, and she deserved to be called out for it. Update 2. 3 months after the housewarming party, the viral attention had continued to impact Jade's life while I found myself receiving overwhelming support and rebuilding my confidence after months of psychological manipulation. Jade's attempts to rebuild her reputation were spectacularly unsuccessful. She tried posting her own explanation video claiming that the audio had been edited and taken out of context, but the messages were too clear and extensive for anyone to believe her excuses. Her video was immediately flooded with negative comments, and several people posted additional evidence that contradicted her claims. Former friends shared stories about Jade's pattern of manipulation and dishonesty in previous relationships. The video ended up making things worse for Jade because it showed that she still wasn't taking responsibility for her actions. Instead of genuine remorse, she focused on playing the victim and minimizing the psychological damage she had caused. Jade's dating life became impossible because her name was permanently associated with the viral gaslighting story. Multiple dating apps banned her after users reported recognizing her from the viral audio clips. She tried creating new social media profiles under different names, but people quickly identified her and shared the housewarming party audio. The story had been covered by major relationship blogs and psychology websites, making it impossible for her to escape the consequences. Meanwhile, my career actually benefited from the viral attention. Several sports medicine clinics reached out after seeing my systematic approach to documenting evidence and handling psychological manipulation. One clinic offered me a senior therapist position with a focus on helping athletes recover from abusive coaching relationships. I also received hundreds of messages from people thanking me for sharing my story and helping them recognize gaslighting in their own relationships. Many people said that hearing Jade's manipulation tactics exposed helped them understand their own experiences with psychological abuse. A domestic violence organization invited me to speak at their conference about recognizing emotional abuse and gaslighting in relationships. My presentation about trust your instincts and document everything became a resource they shared with people seeking help. The most meaningful outcome was the validation I received from mental health professionals who confirmed that Jade's behavior constituted serious psychological abuse. A trauma therapist who specialized in gaslighting victims reached out to offer free counseling sessions to help me process the experience. Update 3. 6 months after exposing Jade's affair and gaslighting campaign, I can confidently say that the public revelation saved my mental health and possibly prevented years of continued psychological abuse. Jade's attempts to contact me and explain her behavior continued for several months, but I blocked her on all platforms and refused to engage with her manipulation attempts. She tried reaching out through mutual friends, but most of them had lost respect for her after hearing the evidence of her psychological abuse. Her relationship with Blake ended immediately after their terminations. According to former coworkers, Blake realized that Jade's pattern of lying and manipulation meant he could never trust her either. He reportedly told people that he felt disgusted by how she had treated me and that the affair wasn't worth destroying multiple lives. Jade eventually moved back to her hometown, apparently unable to rebuild her career or reputation in Denver, where everyone knew about the gaslighting scandal. Her LinkedIn profile disappeared, and she seemed to vanish from our mutual social circles entirely. Meanwhile, I started dating someone wonderful whom I met through the speaking engagement circuit. Dr. Sarah Chen is a psychologist who specializes in trauma recovery, and she was impressed by my resilience in surviving and exposing Jade's psychological abuse. Our relationship is built on complete honesty and validation, which feels incredible after months of being made to doubt my own perceptions. The viral attention from my story led to opportunities I never could have imagined. A literary agent reached out about writing a book about recognizing and surviving gaslighting. The book proposal was picked up by a major publisher, and I'm currently working on a manuscript that combines my personal experience with expert advice about psychological manipulation. I also launched a blog and podcast called Trust Your Reality, where I share advice about recognizing gaslighting tactics and building confidence after psychological abuse. The platform has grown to over 200,000 followers, and I've been able to help countless people escape manipulative relationships. The most meaningful impact has been the messages I received from people who left abusive relationships after seeing my story. One woman wrote that hearing Jade's gaslighting tactics exposed helped her realize that her own partner was using identical manipulation techniques. Another person said that my evidence-gathering approach helped them build a case for their restraining order proceedings. Looking back, I'm grateful that Jade's affair led me to discover her true character before I wasted more years on someone who was actively trying to damage my mental health. Her gaslighting was painful and confusing, but it ultimately freed me to find a much healthier and more honest relationship. The viral housewarming party audio still resurfaces occasionally on social media, usually with captions like "This is what gaslighting sounds like" or "Always trust your instincts about cheating partners." I no longer feel embarrassed or hurt when I see it. Instead, I feel proud that my story continues to help other people recognize manipulation and trust their own reality. Jade learned the hard way that gaslighting someone while conducting an affair has consequences that extend far beyond the relationship itself. Sometimes the best housewarming gift you can give yourself is the truth about who you're really living with, even if it means burning down the life you thought you were building together.